Welcome to Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin, and today I'll be discussing Nanook of the North from 1922. Some essential movie details. This is from the film's IMDb page. Despite being the first modern documentary, most of it was stage. In real life, Ala Karulialek, who played Nanook, he had regular contact with white people, lived in a modern home, and hunted with a gun. Robert J. Flattery, the director of this film, would later go as far as claiming Alakarialek died of starvation when in fact he died from tuberculosis, and that the film was meant to show how the Inuit peoples lived before modern times. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting because when you initially hear about it, when you initially read it, and when you see the titles in the film, it gives the impression that the director, Flattery, he just followed them around, just filmed their everyday life. But when you look into the behind the scenes and actually how it came together, most of it was staged. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. All right. So now we'll get to my thoughts on the film itself. So the plot, it's a documentary, quote unquote documentary. So the review of this is a little bit challenging, but I'll tell you how it's going to work this time around. So, the plot, I gave it a 2 out of 5. It's not really a plot, but it's also not really a documentary either because everything is staged and everything was planned out like a real film. So, because of that, I give it a 2 out of 5, but also the things that happen are super random. You know, he claims this is the day in the life of an Inuit person, and this is the day in the life of the Inuit people, and I don't know, it just seemed kind of random, kind of haphazard. You know, they're just walking around, there's a seal, so then they kill a seal, or there's what was it? There's like a polar bear, or whatever it was, right? But it's not really a plot. You know, there's no narrative to it. When you watch documentaries, especially nowadays, there kind of is a little bit of a story that is formulated and made with it. There is no story here. It's just a sequence of events happening that have nothing to do with each other. There's no harmony to it. There's nothing with it. It's just a travelogue, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but it's not good. It's not good at all. All right, in regards to the acting, so even though quote unquote it's a documentary, they're also pretending. So I gave that a 2 out of 5 as well. You know, it was presented as if the director was following these people around, which, you know, it's just silly. I don't know why he did that. You know, there's actually one scene I could think of where Nanook, he's with a white guy, and the white guy gives him a record, and Nanook starts chewing on it. It's like, I don't know, man. And then when you read the behind-the-scenes details, the actor, I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name, but Alec Karialek, he actually had a record player in his home. So it's like, why are they doing this? If they didn't present this as a documentary, if they presented it as kind of like on the History Channel, every once in a while they'll do like a historical thing to kind of get a glimpse of what life was like for the Inuit people, I can understand that. That would be fine. That's not what they were trying to do. What they were trying to do was, this is what the Inuit people are like right now up in, I think he was in Canada, and no, it's not good. Now, make no mistake, these people, for the most part, were out in the snow. They were killing the animals. Like, that was all real. But they're not acting. It was staged. Well, I guess they were acting, but it was a staged... It was staged. I don't know what else to add to that. It's not good. So in regards to directing, I also gave that a 2 out of 5. I'm not bothered that the film was staged. I'm just more bothered that he tried to present it as, oh, I'm like a little fly on the wall type of documentary, you know? I don't get why he did that and not actually did that, if that makes sense. Like, he just, and actually showcased what the Inuit people were like. Instead, he staged it. I think his ego probably got in the way. I don't know. But, like I mentioned with the actor for Nanook actually having a rifle to go hunting, there's scenes he's like, I could use my rifle here. He's like, no, I want you to use a spear because you're an Inuit person. You need to throw your spear. I don't know, man. I didn't like that very much. They were forced to do it to seem authentic, but it wasn't authentic. If that. So, anyway, I was bothered by that as well. All right, so in regards to the cinematography and special effects, now credit where credit is due. It was amazing. I gave it a 5 out of 5. It's beautifully shot, and the fact that they were able to film outside in snow like that in 1922 without it being overblown with light saturation, and I think that's the right term. I'm just amazed that they were able to do so much of that with 1922 technology. They pulled it off, and it was incredible to watch. And a lot of the scenes were amazing looking, and the hunting and all of that. It looked amazing, but again, it's staged, right? But still, it looks really, really good and excellent. So yeah, credit where credit is due. It's incredible. 5 out of 5. All right, the music gave it a 3 out of 5. So it is a silent film. And I think for the most part with silent films, I can't give it the full score unless I know for sure it's the original written for this movie score. I don't think it is. I just assume it's not. And so it's just a basic, mid-range one. So an example of a soundtrack from a silent film that I would consider really excellent is Metropolis. Because Metropolis, they found the sheet music. So they were able to re-record it with a full orchestra, and they made a new master of it, and it sounds amazing. It's one of, if not my favorite film scores of all time. So that's an example of a great one. And then a not so great one would be this one, but also, I don't know if you've ever seen Dr. Mabuse, this Despangler, what is it? The Gambler. Oh gosh. At least the version I watched on Canopy, I think it was, it had the same do 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 do. It's just the same song over and over again. The film itself is 4 hours long. They split it into 2 parts, but in this version they put them all together into one. And I gotta tell you, it got really tiresome. I digress. We're talking about Nanook of the North. That just tells you how much I was really interested in it. It was just mid-range music, typical orchestra, nothing spectacular like Metropolis. So tallying that all up, that brings my Letterboxd score to 2.8 out of 5, which I'm rounding to a 3 out of 5. So, would I recommend this movie? To be honest, no. It's beautiful to watch and look at, and like I said, it's pretty incredible that despite it being staged, that they were able to accomplish all of those things. It's a pretty boring film. There's no story, there's no purpose to it. Like I said, it's just a sequence of events, and it doesn't end per se, it just stops at the end of one of the mini episodes within it. I don't know, and it's all fake, the whole thing is staged. Even inside the igloo, when they're all in there, that was a totally different igloo that they cut one of the walls out so they could put all the cameras and stuff into it. It's not real. For someone who might be a marketing major, they might be interested in this to see how the marketing and the filmmaking itself could kind of change people's perceptions. That might be an interesting thing to look at, and maybe for that purpose it's good to watch, just to see how effective films can really be at shaping our opinions on something. But I think for the general audience, I don't think they would watch this film or like this film. It's pretty boring. I didn't like it at all. Yeah, but anyways, those are my thoughts on Nanook of the North from 1922. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Really Old Movies, where I discuss details about the week's particular film. New podcast episodes are released Saturdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Alright, thank you so much. This has been Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin. Take care.